Alright, so for this video, it's going to be going over the first items that you have for Monday, but I believe actually Monday might be a holiday, so you always check the schedule to make sure, right? A good way to check the schedule is go over to calendar and look over there. Now, and again, this might be a different semester, so always make sure you check. And I'm going to select the right class, and when I do that, I believe I will see that, yeah, so in this case, that's why I moved items, and I will do that when there's a campus holiday. Okay, coming back here, again, always good to check that. So you have 3 things you need to do for this Monday night item, and this video is going to cover all 3 of them, and then you'll have a similar thing for your Thursday night items. So for this one, you have a lecture where you're going to take notes. You have a hands-on experience, and then you'll have a discussion based on this Stack Overflow developer survey. So the first one is there's 2 videos I want you to watch and take notes on, and here they are. So the first one, I want you to create a file called InternetMD, and you can do that just out in your GitHub interface. Okay, so do it in the lecture folder. Okay, so take notes in the lecture folder. Now we will end up creating subdirectories in that after we clone, which we will do next week, and don't worry if you don't know that term, you'll learn it. So you use major headings, so that would be, this is the markdown major heading for web, okay, sorry, for internet, right? So in this case, use this, and this is the first one on the internet, use that as your text for the heading, and then take notes. And on those notes, make sure you're using ordered or unordered list and subheadings, because there's definitely more content on this first one than on the second one, okay? So create 2 files, one for the first video, another one for the second, and then in your submission here, you can just give us a link to the GitHub repo for lectures, okay? You don't have to give me the specific file, because in this case, you'll have 2 files in that same lecture subdirectory. Okay, hope that helps. Now, on the second item for this week is a hands-on experience that I think is really important. So what you're going to do here is actually learn a little about HTTP in way of learning about DevTools. So I want you to find 2 sites that have kind of a similar target audience, right? And then I'm going to show you how to use Chrome DevTools to peer behind the curtain, so to speak, or in this case behind the web, inside the browser, what happens, to kind of compare these sites from a performance, also files perspective, okay? So what you'll end up doing, and I'll show you once we're in there, but you'll take a print screen of each, and then you'll upload that into your GitHub. Now in this case, right, so this, because it's a hands-on experience, these would go in your public repo. So the other assignment, the first assignment where you're taking notes, that is in your private repo. So this one, because it's hands-on, is in your public, and the reason you need it in the public in this case is because we're all going to be looking at your output. Okay, and make sure you do embed them. If you're not sure how to embed, I'll just kind of quickly look at it today, because what most of the time I'll spend is talking about the DevTools, and we learned about embedding last week. Okay, so refer back to that if you want some more detail. So I was messing around today, and I was looking at Fresno City College's website, and I was looking at California Community College's website, or maybe Fresno State would be a good one as well. But any site you're ever on, you can right-click, hit Inspect, and when you hit Inspect, there's just a lot of information here. And this you'll learn through, you'll start learning it in this course. You'll learn more about it in 85, which I hope you all, if you haven't already taken it, you do. And then, you know, there's so much here. That's my whole point about this. So when you're dropped into here, it's generally on elements, and if you just kind of move your mouse over some of this, you can kind of see once your mouse is hovering over an actual element inside the HTML. Okay, Okay, so these are divs, foot. Now this is at the bottom of the page, right? So there's just a lot. So you can kind of also start to see, if you've never written HTML, the structure of HTML here. And then there's console, and there's sources, and there's network. So network tab is really what we'll end up spending for this assignment, just a little bit of time here. So now that I'm in this website and I've opened DevTools, the page has already loaded. So if I want to watch this happen in somewhat real time, I would hit refresh here. And what would happen is I would get this nice little this visual of the waterfall. So this is what happens. These are all the things that get loaded onto your system when you load up a web page. And it's often very revealing for students who have never seen this to realize that, if you don't know the extension CSS, that's a cascading style sheet. That's something we don't spend a lot of time on, but we spend a little time on in this course. But these are PNGs, these are images, these are JS files, this is JavaScript files, this is a framework called jQuery. It's actually kind of hard to see that we're still using jQuery on our site, or actually is very common on the internet, but we're trying to move away from it. Is using Bootstrap, which is interesting. Bootstrap is something we're going to learn. PNG, these are another type of image file, a PNG, more a photo file. So scroll through here. So, you won't know most likely, unless you've been around for a while, which if you have, great, what all these files are, but it does give you some status codes, and this status code is about how it got delivered. 200 is generally successful. Some of them might still be loading. I'm going to scroll down here as well. Let's see how far down I am in the page. Oh, there we go. I'm kind of down. No, here's the bottom. Okay. So here's what we generally can say, at least from a first look at this, is that Fresno City College site had 88 requests. So 88 different requests that it made from the server. The browser made from the server to deliver all the assets. Here's the transfer. Here's the space that it needs. Here's the actual file size of all these requests. This is how long it took. Now, in this case, because I had already loaded the page, it was probably a little quicker. If you've ever noticed that once you load a page and you refresh it the second time around, it's quicker. And that's because unless the site has specified, it is probably going to pull this stuff out of cache, because one thing you want to understand is that these resources now exist locally in the computer cache. This is your load millisecond time, so this is how long it took to finish. So there's just some interesting things. So what we could say is, like, what could I say about this site compared to the California Community College site? Well, I'd do the same thing. I'd go inspect. I would navigate. I'd kind of look over this and see how it is similar and how it's different. And again, there's so much content here. Try not to get overwhelmed by it, but eventually move over to network, hit refresh, and watch what happens. Again, here's the waterfall of things. And waterfall, in this case, because it's actually in the way that things get loaded, there's a specific way we render websites. Again, something a little beyond this course, but it's good to start talking about. In order to make them optimal. And there's something called above the fold that we do quickly. We load this part quickly because that's the part generally people see. And then we can kind of lazy load some of the other things. So if we come down through here, if we were just to say, if I compare these two sites, here's some of the things I could say, is that the California Community College site took 95 resources. Right, it had to transfer 996 kilobits. The total resources was 8 kilobytes. If you don't know these kilobytes and megabit terms, definitely look them up. As an IT person, you're going to want to know these are just ways that we measure. Because we measure speed, and we also measure size of files, how long it took. This one was much quicker in this case, right? So it had, let's see, if we compare the two, 89, this had 95, but I think this one actually loaded quicker, right? So that's the kind of stuff you'd want to think about. Like, do some kind, in your writing, I want to both see the images, that these print screens, because now you're going to take a print screen here. of this, right? And then you'll take a print screen of this. You'll place both of these print screens into your reply, and then you'll give some, what you learned by going through this exercise. You could talk about the files. Again, the waterfall would be interesting about, but it's fairly common for me to see students, at least I want to have an understanding of this bottom line here that I'm talking about. Okay? Okay, so now back here. Oh, and by the way, these will get uploaded into your print screens. Like here's one I had from when I did this assignment before. So, and you do want to name, when you name your print screens, because when you take print screens, it'll generally give it a long name. You want to rename that. That's part of what I look for in your work, is you want to do lowercase, no spaces, right? All lowercase. So in this case, if I was to come and I'm going to do this first one, FCC. Oh, there's the file. One thing I would probably do is say open in a new tab. Now the reason I do that is that here I get the blob for GitHub. So when I do the open in new tab, I get just the file itself. So this is actually a better URL to post, and I believe I showed this last week. So I'm going to come back now to the discussion, right? And in my reply, right, I would then, right, in this case, I'm going to do insert and image, right? And in this case, I'm not going to upload the image. I'm not going to, actually, that's not the place I wanted to do this. Oh, they've moved. They've moved it. All right, hold on. Let me find it. Okay, so it's right here. And in this case, what you're looking at is what we call a WYSIWYG. So it's trying to help you. But by the way, if you ever go down here, this actually shows you the code, and I'll show you that in a minute. So here's what I was looking for: is we want to, and in this case, it says upload, but we're not going to upload. And this will be part of the assignment. The way you get graded is you want to do the URL. Okay, so you want to give me the URL, because in this case, really what we're just showing you is that you don't want to load things when you can reference them out on a system like GitHub or other ways to do that. Okay, and you could say print screen, and this is good to do, of Fresno City College. Alt text is always important, okay? And this is because of screen readers. So we're going to go ahead and embed this image and hit submit. And what happens here is it embeds that image, okay? So you could put some content here, right? So you could either put it before you did the image in here, right? Or you could put it after. And if you were trying to figure out how to select it and you couldn't, you could always come down here and I'll go, oh, notice there's a P. Now, if you've never seen HTML, you're going to go, what does this mean? But notice what this is. This is an image tag. It has a source. It's never too soon to start learning about some code, because that's what we're here to do, right? So this is the URL that we pasted in from here, okay? So you should recognize that. There's the alt, and there's a P. So what I could do is I could come down here, and I could do P, or I could just do like this. I could do S like this. Now, why would I do that? Is then that provides me some content I can play with. So I could say Fresno City College site, right? And you can even format this as a heading, which would be kind of fun. So then you'll do the next one, right? So then you'll do the next site. So you'll do the same thing with your next image. So you'll end up having two images here, right? You'll have two of them. And then in the writing part, I'm not going to walk through the second one because you have it here, right? So I could say California community colleges. So, and then I'd put the image, and then you do your writing. So after that image, or you could format it, you could put it above. You could totally put your writing above, right? So I want you to do a little analysis here. That's really what this is about, is for you to take a look at the two sites and give some comparison. I've given you some ways to do that. You could also research other ways, because as I stated when I started looking in here, there's just so many different ways. There's so much content in here, it's almost overwhelming. But like I said, we started looking at elements. We didn't even talk about console. That's an important when you're writing code. Sources are the files themselves, where the subdirectories, and where other what we call CDNs are loaded from. Performance we didn't even look at. So we just barely touched on the tool. And this is not specific to Chrome. Any browser these days has this kind of what we call dev tools, right? Okay, so that's that item. I'm not going to save this one because I'm not. So the last item you have for this first, again, I'm going to say Monday, but now we know it's actually Tuesday based on this semester's holiday, is to actually look at the Stack Overflow survey. And the latest one is from 2023, and it's broken down by all these different areas, okay? So what I want you to do here is I want you to review the survey and find something that piques your interest, right? And in your reply, tell us what you learned and why you selected this item. And then each student needs to select a different item on the survey. There are many, okay? And then write at least 150 words and do 2 replies to your fellow students with a substantive reply. Okay, so this is great because I think this really is helpful in the sense that it gives you an overview of they look at this. 90,000 developers were asked some questions, everything from technology, how we could look at AI. That'd be an interesting one right now. Sentiment and usage, right? Are they using it? Look, so 43% of all of them, right? They're using AI in their I mean, that's a huge percentage when you think about how long it's been out there. Developer tools, how are they using it? Okay. So I know some of you have asked me, and I think I'll talk about this in the attendance about the whole AI and how it affects especially classes in technology like this. Anyway, that's it for what you need to do for this week. I will now go work on the Thursday night items so I can do the attendance post. All right. Hope this helps. Talk to you later.